Someone really ought to have a chat with Emmerdale's Tate, because his latest bad boy streak is spinning out of control. Sure, Joe, we understand. You want to knock Kim Tate off her throne and declare yourself the king of the Dales, but seriously, tone it down. After toppling Cain Dingle in his quest to seize as much farmland as possible, Joe has now set his sights on the new occupants of Butlers Farm, Robert Sugden and Aaron Dingle. Cain was devastated when his wife, Moira Dingle, Natalie J. Robb, chose to give up the fight and sell the property to Kim, knowing smug Joe would gloat. Yet, after discovering Cain's cancer diagnosis, Moira realized it was the only way to prevent her husband from a complete breakdown. With Butlers no longer keeping him grounded, Cain has shifted his focus to turning Dingle land into a functioning farm, while Robert and Aaron struggle with working for Joe alongside Mackenzie and Matty. Joe has achieved his immediate goal and is eager to push further, but it's also about exerting authority. When Robert and Aaron possess a herd of cows outside their lease, Moira's old livestock, Joe pressures them into selling it. Cain's mind remains locked on the Dingle farm to distract from his illness, but he notices Mac and Matty are stretched thin, helping Sam Dingle, and then he uncovers the full picture. Joe is offloading the cows. It's a crushing blow, and Cain faces further frustrations. Mackenzie confesses they cannot afford a replacement herd, and Sam admits he missed a meeting about farm equipment that could have helped the Dingle operation. This pushes Cain over the edge. He erupts, going from calm to furious, dramatically announcing the end of the farm dream. Or is it really over? A mysterious hooded figure may hold the solution, a Robin Hood for the Dales dairy world. Robert and Aaron are shocked to find the entire herd has vanished. Joe discovers the bovine theft and points the finger at Robert, though his conscience is clear. Enraged, Joe teams up with Graham Foster to track down the thief, starting with the most obvious suspects, the Dingles. Yet, they have nothing to hide, leaving Joe frustrated and stuck. What they don't realize is that the culprit is among them without their knowledge. On a rural road, the thief is revealed. Belle. Belle is inexperienced in Dingle farm life, and Cain warns her she's made a rookie error. The bull has a tracker. Joe is on his way, and Belle is left with a mountain of cows to conceal. How far will the Dingles go to protect her? Emmerdale's Cain Dingle sets off on a path of self-sabotage in next week's big special episode. The Dales troublemaker is poised to put his marriage in jeopardy when he moves in for a kiss with his former partner Charity during a tense two-hander storyline. Reeling from his latest hospital checkup and panicked about life after surgery, Cain erupts in a full-blown meltdown. Can Charity convince him there's still hope? Cain is determined to wreck his life before his health situation gets any worse, an Emmerdale insider says. The side effects of his operation could completely change his life, and he's already lost so much. The thought of his marriage falling apart is unbearable to him. Beyond the farm dispute, Cain faces much heavier concerns at his pre-op hospital appointment. Sarah Sugden senses his hesitation, but urges him to attend a support group to confront what life might look like post-surgery. Yet, when Cain sees a patient break down over relationship issues after a diagnosis, he bolts from the meeting. Deep down, he fears for Moira and doubts their marriage can survive the strain. Cain is terrified the surgery will alter who he is, our source explains. His sense of identity is tied to his masculinity, and between the cancer and losing the farm, he feels like a failure. He can't bear the thought of Moira seeing him differently. Later, a minor mistake by Sam with the farm equipment sends Cain into a rage, and he storms off in a foul mood. Concerned about his destructive mindset and growing alcohol intake, Charity follows him home, prompting the two-hander drama to unfold. Feeling cornered and under intense pressure, Cain lashes out in a moment of uncontrolled anger, grabbing a whiskey bottle and hurling it across the room. It crashes into Zach's treasured ale tankard, shattering it to pieces, leaving the room echoing with the sound of destruction. Charity, witnessing Cain's despair and volatility, steps in urgently, urging him to speak honestly about the fear and frustration he's been bottling up. After a tense and emotional exchange, Cain finally breaks down, exposing the depth of his turmoil, but in a self-destructive move, he tries to seduce her. Charity knows exactly what he's doing, our source explains. He claims he just wants a distraction from his problems, but he drifts into reminiscing about their old romance before leaning in for a reckless and impulsive kiss. As emotions spiral, viewers are left wondering, can Cain see reason in time, or will Charity have to step in to prevent a catastrophic mistake and uncover the true source of his pain? Paddy Kirk's world has been turned upside down as he spends the night in police custody, leaving viewers to wonder whether he will ever return home after nearly 30 years in Emmerdale. The trouble began when Paddy's father, Bear Wolf, was once again questioned over the day Ray Walters died. D.S. Walsh has long suspected that Bear didn't act alone, but he has refused to reveal that Paddy and Dylan Penders were involved in helping to dispose of the body. The tension escalates when Bear is asked to tie a specific knot used to conceal Ray. Despite repeated efforts, he fails, and in a desperate attempt to protect Paddy, Bear shocks everyone by confessing that he had intended to kill Ray himself. Bear's solicitor, Zara, quickly arrives in the village to warn Paddy, Dylan, and Mandy Dingle of the dire consequences. She tells them that Bear now faces a very real chance of spending the rest of his life behind bars. The revelation hits Paddy hard, and he is left agonizing over what he can do to save his father. Ultimately, he realizes that the only way to help might be to come clean about lying over his own involvement in the events surrounding Ray's death. Paddy, however, refuses to shoulder the burden alone. Dylan offers to accompany him to the police station to confess, despite being only 18 and having already endured a traumatic childhood. Paddy worries about the young man's future, but Dylan is resolute. He wants to take responsibility for his actions. At the police interview, both Paddy and Dylan admit their part in disposing of Ray's body. Paddy even demonstrates the knot he used to wrap him up, leaving D.S. Walsh stunned. The two are formally reprimanded and charged with perverting the course of justice, with Walsh warning that they won't be leaving custody anytime soon. With all three men now facing potential prison sentences, the family is left in despair. However, there may be a glimmer of hope. Laurel Thomas had witnessed Ray's state of mind before his death and confronted Dylan violently, which could provide crucial evidence. Upcoming episodes suggest that Mandy and Chas Dingle may realize that if Laurel testifies about Ray's behavior and intentions, Paddy, Dylan, and Bear could argue that the events unfolded as an act of self-defense. The question now is whether this will be enough to keep them out of prison. As the tension builds, viewers are left eagerly anticipating the next developments in this gripping storyline, wondering if Paddy can truly save his father and protect Dylan from losing his future. Emmerdale airs weeknights at 8 p.m. on ITV1 and streams on ITVX.